I've been a business consultant for quite a few years, 25 actually, teaching accountants how to work with business owners to help them make more money. And my real focus is not on accountants, but on the small business owner and how they can turn their operation into a cash cow, how they can increase their income by tenfold. And you're looking at tenfold, is that possible? You know, it actually is. And the truth is, you've already done it a lot of times. I went through this as a little practice set with Dan Sullivan at the Strategic Coach a few years ago up in Canada, and he sat down and he said, you can increase your income tenfold. And at first I thought, not possible. He goes, write down how much you made the first month you had of your own business, your own job. And I'm thinking, well, I'm 12, I swept sidewalks down the street. I made about $10 a month. How old were you when you multiplied that to over 100 a month? And well, I was 16, 4 years later, when I started my first business, an auto detailing shop. He goes, how old were you when you multiplied that by tenfold and went over 1,000 a month? Well, 21 when I started selling life insurance, making cold calls at night on the phone. Nobody else would do it, and so I was making really good money. And he then looks at me and says, well, how old were you when you multiplied that by tenfold and went from 1,000 a month to 10,000? I thought, well, 33 years old when I started doing marketing consultant for accountants. And you know, the reason we started this business is because we went broke in our business, our furniture business, filed bankruptcy after a fire. We had insurance, shouldn't have filed bankruptcy, but I didn't get good information from my accountant, usable data that pointed out that the business was actually a lot weaker than I thought it was. And so an event came along, a fire, put us right out of business, and my wife and I are sleeping in the car with the 4-month-old huddled up between us trying to keep her warm. And that was plumb nuts. It shouldn't have been like that. And so I started talking to the accountant and said, you know, we need to go out and teach business owners how to get successful. And it was at that point when I started doing this with accountants, my income jumped up tenfold to 10,000 a month or more at 33 years old. And I keep going through this exercise realizing, my goodness, I do know how to increase my income tenfold, because by the time I was 47, we were doing QuickBooks seminars, teaching accountants and business owners all over the world how to use QuickBooks, and we jumped up tenfold again to over 100,000 a month. And I'm looking back and saying, my goodness, that's quite an accomplishment to go from $10 to 100 to 1,000 to 10,000, 100,000. And so the next big question is, KC, when are you going to hit $1 million? Well, I'm working on it right now. It may be another 5 or 6 years, but I'm shooting for it right now. And I'd love to see myself making $1 million a month. I'd like to see you making that kind of money, but let's settle today on making $1,000 a day net profit, $365 a year. Now, that's how much it takes to be in the top 1% of all the income makers in America, $365,000 a year. Over the next couple of blogs, and I hope you'll come back every few days and listen in, leave comments or questions. Over the next few days, I'm going to give you some specific tips on why we don't get rich, what kind of things we can do to get rich, why it's a lot more fun to be rich than it is to be poor. I've got a poor sister. I can't figure out why she's poor. She's smarter than I am, and she's actually a better talker than me. I mean, yet she's not rich. And I keep calling up saying, honey, why don't you do these things that I've been doing? Oh, I might, but that's a little scarier. That might not work. I said, what you're doing now doesn't work. So why could anything get worse? You're already poor. That's plumb nuts. So we're going to talk a little bit over these next couple of blogs and how you can get rich in your business. I hope you join me. This is Casey Truby, the Lonesome Cowboy. When it's time to go into action in Wyoming, we'll all jump up and yell, let's ride. Okay, partners, talk to you soon.